This morning, a stunning bridge collapse at the port of Baltimore.
The entire Key Bridge in the harbor.
The Francis Scott Key Bridge plunging into the water overnight after it was hit by a cargo container ship. Video shows smoke coming from the ship before it hit the bridge. And though the collapse happened in the early morning hours, 1:30 a.m., video shows cars crossing moments before the ship hits. The traffic then paused, but vehicles were still on the bridge as it then crumbled into the water. Fire department and Coast Guard teams rushed to the scene, rescuers searching the water overnight.
Jack Posobiec here in Baltimore Harbor. You can see just behind me the ship, the Dali, Singapore flagged, Maersk chartered, and the remains of the Francis Scott Key Bridge here in Baltimore Harbor. Helicopters are up, search and rescue, Coast Guard looking for any potential survivors. You can hear the helicopters circling the area. The ship, of course, is stationary. It is stopped directly where the bridge, where it struck the bridge, where the bridge once stood. And as you can see behind me, the port is completely silent. No ships are moving. It's a quiet day that started out with a catastrophic early morning where overnight the bridge collapsed due to this catastrophic incident, which took place around 1:30 in the morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard today's edition of Human Events Daily, live from Washington, D.C. Today is March 26, 2024, Anno Domini. So you saw my early morning reporting there after running a few errands this morning, drove out to Baltimore Harbor, and I was able to get some footage of what was going on at the time, and continues now the search and rescue for any of these construction workers, these contractors who were we're told, fixing potholes on the bridge when this ship collided with it and destroyed it. So this is tough. I've driven with my family on that bridge many times. I brought my boys on that bridge, my children. In fact, in our family, we actually have a little nickname for it for the kids. We call it Dinosaur Bridge, because if you look at it, or if you looked at any of the old pictures, because it has that sort of, like a brontosaurus kind of back shape, that we call it Dinosaur Bridge. And whenever we're driving around, or we're driving up to see my family in Pennsylvania, we always point out and say, hey, there's Dinosaur Bridge. And the first thing I had to tell my kids this morning was that Dinosaur Bridge was destroyed. Obviously, we're still getting more information about how exactly it was destroyed. Of course, we can see the ship hitting it. We want to know exactly what happened to that ship, motor vessel Dali, colliding with it about 1:30 in the morning local time. And there's a story that's starting to emerge now, and we don't have quite all the details yet, but we're told that those construction workers who were up there, and I remember one of the first things that I looked at, and I remember watching the Kerch Strait Bridge attack. That was in Crimea, but you can see that there were cars on the bridge when that took place. However, if you watch the video very carefully and very closely, when the ship collides directly with the support column there, you don't actually see any vehicles that are up on the bridge itself. You don't see anyone driving across. You see one, I think it's a truck, looks like a semi, makes it just before the ship collides. And you say, wow, that's amazing. It's miraculous, obviously, that no cars were actually on at the time. Well, there's a story, and that's now emerging, that the construction workers that were up there fixing potholes in the middle of the night, away from their families, making a buck, working hard, that those guys went out, put down their tools, and didn't try to save themselves, that they went over and they stopped traffic on the Francis Scott Key Bridge, Patapsco River, Chesapeake Bay, going into Baltimore Harbor, that these construction workers, these guys, put down what they were doing and got up to warn traffic off of the bridge, to try to stop traffic, to warn people from getting out there, and potentially saved many lives. In doing so, sacrificing themselves to save other people's lives. Now, we're told one or perhaps two of these guys, and in my video from earlier, we'll play it again. You can see the helicopter. It's a Coast Guard helicopter out of U.S. Coast Guard Station Atlantic City, searching for these guys, search and rescue. But these guys are heroes. They're all heroes, and we're going to get the names as soon as it's released. Human Events Daily continues.